Kelly Gonzalez, welcome to the show. Glad to have you.
Thank you for having me, AJ. I love it. I love the studio. Love the energy here.
Very good, very good. So today we are going to talk a lot about the transit industry and how you have become a giant in the
A mini
industry.
giant, a mini giant. I don't want the competitors coming after me too fast.
But let's do this. Let's kick things off by maybe sharing some insight into how you got involved in the transit industry.
Well, AJ, thank you for inviting me to your show. I love the team coming up in here and here at Evolution Studios, and saw the story and how quick this studio has been growing. I'm glad that they partnered up with you and you hosting this amazing show. I don't know if you're calling it a podcast or a business show, but I know anything that you touch, AJ, always turns into gold, and I'm honored to be here.
Thank you for those. Thank you for those kind words, Kelly. Really appreciate it.
Yeah.
And thanks for being here.
So how I started in the transportation industry, right after school, how we all leave school and we want to go chase the American dream. I went and I needed a job, right? And I went, applied for this amazing company, and they were starting off minimum wage for training, and you could work your way up the company. That's what they promised. And right away, I went in with that desire to be somebody. You're straight out of school, hungry. Want to accomplish something great. Within a month, I went from a driver to actually managing a sector in safety as part of that company. And in the time I was there, I went from driver to manager to director, and I joined a company that was um, doing business about 500 million a year in revenue. And within the 8 years I was there, we went to 500 million to 1.3 billion.
Wow.
When I left that company, I was a director of business development, overseeing 32 states. So I learned everything from the ground up, from the driving, from the training, to the business development, to working with the politics and lobbyists, and government relationships. And I once I left with something great, great friends, and I learned a new love for the business, and somebody that grew up, in Liberty City, Alapata, and Miami, and a community that might have not been the richest with money, but it was the richest with love. And I depended on that transportation to get home. I depended on that transportation to go to school. So, I went into this business for an opportunity, but I was able to give back to the community daily to provide transportation. Then, as you see now, I started my own business doing the same thing.
Right. So this is the true American dream story, right?
Yes.
So what drew you to the transit or transportation industry? If I say that it was your pretty much your childhood memories,
Correct.
using the service. If I say that, that's right.
Yes. It was my, people are dependent. There's three things you're gonna always need. You're gonna always need food. You're gonna always need medicine, and you're gonna always need transportation.
Right.
Right.
Yeah.
So thank God I got into a field that there's a need, and I was able to now put my touch in it. Right. Everything in life, we always want to. We could always find something that's missing. How can we add value? That's what life is all about.
Right.
Adding value to the people, adding value to the community. And I took the skills that I learned, and as you see now, in the past 2 years, we've grown, and we're in 11 cities providing transportation services, whether it's paratransit, which is transportation for people with disabilities.
Right.
Whether it's, let's say they call it fixed route, where it's transportation in the bigger buses, providing transportation and routes. Whether it's now with all this new technology, on-demand transportation, like the Ubers and the Lyfts of the world.
Mhm.
And we're also big on the planning and staffing side, where we help agencies optimize their transportation models, and also help them with the recruiting and the staffing and things of that nature.
Right. So you shared that you initially started off as a driver.
Correct.
Right? You were driving a bus.
Yes.
All right. Right. And now you are managing multi-million-dollar contracts.
Correct.
All over the nation.
All
right?
over the U.S.
So I'd like to hear from you what is your day-to-day look like now compared to how it was back then?
You know what? I'll tell you this, right? You know, I'm a big believer in, if you do the little things right, the bigger things will come, right? So when it comes to energy output, it's the same. You know, wake up early in the morning. I wake up around 5 to 5:30. I'm either working out, doing some meditation, some time for me,
Right.
because I know the rest of the day, you know how they say, you're putting out fires, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
So you're a
Yeah.
businessman,
Yeah.
but we're also nourishing. We're also like a farmer, right? You're putting in the seeds, you're cultivating it, you're watering it. Because now before it was just me. Now I represent a group of people. I represent a staff, right? And my day to day is, I wake up, then early in the morning, every day I have a call with my team
Mhm.
every single morning. Sometimes people wait till the Friday, or they have a monthly,
So you have a daily huddle.
a daily
Huddle.
huddle, 7 in the morning
Hmm.
every day. The directors of each location, we have a call. It's a 30-minute call. It
Right.
doesn't have to be an hour.
Right.
So we know what's going on day to day, and we feel the pulse.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Because the problems that you have on Tuesday, if you wait to talk about it on Friday, it's over. I know what happened yesterday and the day before. Right? So we have that. And then from there, we just keep building. Right? I don't want to go ahead and there's a building that is cracked and get at the last minute to try to fix it. I'm looking at how hard are the steps that might even prevent that crack,
Mm.
and what can we add when we're building so that can never be possible. So, and it's 24/7. I have a passion for this. I have a passion for transportation. I have a passion for somebody that's on dialysis, because, rest in peace, my dad, who passed away in 2020.
Sorry to
He
hear
was
that.
on dialysis for 13 years.
Yeah.
And you gotta go recycle your blood 3 times a week. You're dependent on that. You miss an appointment, you might not see the next day,
Mm.
right? So, a cancer patient that needs this transportation to go to the doctor, and most of this transportation is funded with, federal funding and tax dollars. Most of this transportation is for people that come from impoverished communities, right? So it's very important to not only, be fiscally responsible with the funds that come to transport, but to transport that person on time, with dignity, and for them to have a good customer experience. Because some of these people that get on this service, that driver is sometimes the only person they ever see.
Mm.
Some of these folks are in senior living homes that sometimes don't get visited by their own kids. That driver is not only the driver and a savior for their medicine or groceries or transportation, sometimes it's like a family member for them.
Right.
So
Right.
it's 24/7 how we're improving the service, how we're improving the customer service, how we're improving the interaction. And now
Right.
all of these folks have apps. So it's getting cool. It's getting cool these
Right.
days.
So you obviously start your day with self-reflection,
Correct.
and then you get into the daily huddles, and then you are pretty much saving the world at this point, running through the day. How do you wrap up your day? How do you get prepared for the next day?
So number one, any I look at the Patriots. I look at the Lakers.
Yeah.
I look at the Bulls when Michael Jordan was there, right?
Yeah.
Michael Jordan didn't do it by himself. Kobe didn't do it by himself. Rest in peace. He needed Shaq.
Yeah.
Every great teams have great team members, have great leaders. So I do it together with my team, right? So I got great team members, right? I got one of my uh, team members, Mitch Fenner. He was the director of transportation in New York. Wait, at one time there was 3,000 drivers he oversaw. He was my boss, a mentor of mine.
Mhm.
He works in our company now.
Oh wow.
I got Ed Carrion, who's the former CEO of Corpus Christi Transit, and he was my vice president when I worked in 2 other firms. He's our director of business development. So I got great people that I could count on, that are gonna that that make everything happen for the company,
Yeah.
that are bringing the other AJs, that are bringing the other Kelly Gonzalez that's coming up, right?
Yeah.
So I got these great people, and how I wrap up my night last night, I just started yesterday a new contract in Atlanta that we just started. Got all of my drivers, my fresh new drivers that are working there for the first time. You know where I was at last night? We
Yeah.
went to Fogo de Chao in Atlanta. We went to all you can eat steakhouse.
Right.
Right?
Yeah.
You know, and when I was there with them, they were so proud.
Mm.
And I was so proud to be there. I want them to feel that experience. Hey, we're gonna start like this, we're gonna end like this.
Right.
Because without
breaking bread.
without them, if I can't break bread, without them, I'm nothing.
Right.
And I know they're gonna take that back. They're gonna remember that experience, right? And they're gonna go on the road and take so much pride in their work that they got somebody that's in the trenches with them.
Yeah.
Because they knew I drove.
Yeah.
Right. And they know there's opportunity for the American dream in this company. And guess what? They're gonna go and tell others to come join. That's why we've been able to grow so fast in the past 2 years. Not only because we got great people, you know, we got great peoples in the trenches.
Yeah.
But we got great people all the way in the boardrooms.
Yeah.
So that keeping that energy, and my job is to keep that energy going.
Yeah.
Right. Keep that. That's my job.
Yeah. Teamwork makes the dream work.
Yes,
you want to make sure that you take care of your team, right? Not just at the end of the year with a Christmas bonus or a New Year's bonus, something like that, but constantly working with them and make them feel like, they are really part of your family,
They are.
right? They are your family, right?
They
So
are.
as long as you treat them with that respect, they are going to take care of you as family members,
100%.
right?
100%.
So we'll shift gears here a little bit and maybe talk a little bit about your involvement with the public sector of transportation and how technology has made its way into the transportation industry over the last, I would say, decade and shaped the industry. And we'll take it step by step, but if we can just start with talking about your involvement with the public sector.
So, in anything in life, if you want to have a great end product or a great service, it takes two parts. I come from the private sector and I partner with the public sector for the public, right? So normally I'll meet with a public agency and I'll say, hey, what are your headaches? What are your goals? What are your KPIs? Where do you want to go, right?
Yeah.
And then it's my job to get that data, to get that info with our planners, with our tech team, with our experts, and how can we put something together that works for that place.
Yeah.
We're not what you call it, like a toolbox that a cookie cutter approach. No, every single place, something in Tampa is not going to be like it is in Miami.
Right.
Something in Miami is not going to be like it is in New York. Something in New York is not going to be like it is in London. So we customize solutions for each different sector and each different city. And obviously we integrate the technology. Technology has changed where now drivers are driving. There's artificial intelligence that's scanning the road, and that driver might be looking left, might not be seeing from the peripheral vision of the right.
Yeah.
And it detects a school boy crossing the street, even though the light is green, and the seat would vibrate a little bit. So he could there's somebody, and then he starts, pressing his brakes and slowing down before he even looking.
Yeah.
That's warning. Kind of when you drive a Tesla and you get a little bit off the road and kind of pulls you back in.
Yeah.
That's in public transportation now.
Oh, wow.
They have cameras now where it detects if somebody has a weapon inside for public safety, with everything going on crazy in the world.
Yeah.
It's people might not know about it, but we're out here preserving and keeping our people safe.
Right. So it's almost like X-ray vision.
Yes.
You can see through your clothing.
Today flying through Delta, they had I didn't even know I had digital ID.
Yeah.
I didn't even have to show it. You take it there, it took a picture of me and say, he could board,
Yeah.
So transportation is taking steps as well to be more efficient, to be safe, to be safer, to optimize. It picks up the data live and sees like which roads are congested, which are not, So then as we're planning in the future, how many trips, how many people are getting on per hour to see like which routes are more efficient or not, where's there's gaps in the transportation zones. And the good thing is that in the transportation community, whether I have a competitor or not, we all work together. We meet at the American Public Transit Association conferences. We meet at the ConnectTalk conferences. And, we work on these solutions together because it's for the betterment of everyone.
This leads me to another question, and it's a great segue to talk about the unsung heroes of the unsung heroes of the transit industry, because every industry has the unsung heroes, right? People don't hear about those folks. They are not in the limelight. They are not doing podcasts like us. But who are some of the unsung heroes of the transit industry?
The unsung heroes are the heart of transportation, which are the drivers. These are people that go out there. They're working during Christmas. They're working during Thanksgiving. They sacrifice. And they go out there even when there's, you really see them here in Florida, because we're in the great city of Tampa today. When there's an emergency, right? When there's an emergency and there's a hurricane or things of that or things of that nature, guess what? They don't get to stay home while the hurricane is going. They're emergency responders. They're out there. We take it from taking people to school back and forth to now transferring people to emergency,
to hospitals
and emergency shuttles, evacuation centers to the hospital. I remember when there was a really bad blizzard one time in New York, and we would have the drivers, transporting these people from the evacuation from their homes to the evacuation centers. It got to a point that the city used our buses to transport some of the medicine back and forth,
Right.
So these are the unsung heroes that are daily putting in the work. That's why we always try to focus on giving these drivers everything that we can, all of the support, when it comes to like benefits, or when it comes, even if I'll negotiate a gym package with the nearest gym, for them, because they're working so much. Sometimes they don't even get the time when they're out there working to do that. Well, how can I make their life easier? Because these are our heroes that make it happen.
Right. This is perfect. Now, this like really leads me to the next question, which is to ask you whether there are any memorable milestones or moments in your career which you've experienced in the transit industry, which has shaped the way you approach certain things now, your role and certain situations.
There was a time that I was, coming up in the transportation industry. I had one of those like supervisor jobs. It wasn't the highest,
right?
But I had that ambition. And I went one day, the owner of the company came to visit one of the locations that I was supervising. And, he came in, I'll never forget that he came in his private jet. And I picked him up, and he had another president with him. His name was Adam, and the owner's name was Alex Lottie. They came in, and I picked them up, and I picked them up to come look at the location because they came to speak to all the drivers, right? Just to check in. And I prepped myself on any financial question, any data question, any safety question, just so I could impress them.
Yeah.
And the whole time they were there, they just asked me about my personal life. How you doing? How's everything? Where are you from? They were interested in who I was before I really knew them, right? And then I drove them, at the end of the day, I drove them back. I was like, wow, these people really care about me.
Yeah.
And they cared, and that taught me that in life, yes, we all want to make a profit. yes, we want to grow, but it's about the people,
Mm-hmm.
right?
Mm-hmm.
And it really affected me and touched my heart that, hey, you know what? Like these people really cared about. So when I navigate, right, and I'm gonna do any type of business project, I'm thinking about, hey, how am I touching the people, right? What am I doing with any community involvement? You know, I do a lot of
Yeah,
community
yeah,
stuff.
yes, you do.
How can I help in this community?
Right.
So I'm like, how can I help somebody's life get better? And you know, even with me, when I try to do business in a city, I always try to help the city. Like, hey, do you have a living wage ordinance, right? How can I help you get that? So like, we could so the private contractors could be forced
Mm-hmm.
to say, all right, everybody's going to pay this minimum.
Mm.
Nobody else could go lower. Because if I'm going after a contract and there's another company going after a contract and there's not a living wage ordinance, sometimes what happens in the business world, people go to the race to the bottom to be lowest bid.
Yeah.
And if you're lowest bid, more than likely, you're not gonna get the best group of the of of staffing that's out there,
Team
because they're
members.
gonna
Yeah.
go work,
Yeah.
team members gonna work with other companies.
Yeah.
So those little type of things that, hey, I'm fighting for the company, but I'm fighting more important for the people. So that really touched me. But guess what? They were obviously observing everything going on,
Right.
because I ended up becoming really good friends with them,
Yeah.
and doing business in the future. I actually subcontractor for almost all the big billion-dollar companies now,
Yeah.
and them as well. But they told me years later, we came to talk to you, but we was observing everything
Everything.
going on. We
Yeah.
already knew what the numbers were, but
But we.
we wanted to see what was on paper, if it was really real in vision, and it was. So
So
that really affected me, man.
they're smart guys, right? Now they
Yeah.
definitely are smart guys, and they really wanted to learn more about you and
Yeah.
how you approach business, and that will, I guess, give them an idea about how the future business will be.
Yeah.
And I guess that experience led you to who you are today.
Correct.
You use the same experience and how you approach working with people, right?
Correct.
So that's fantastic. Now, since you are someone who's deeply involved in the transit industry, there might be some challenges or even misconceptions that are known out there out in the public. Can you speak to some of that? Some of the misconceptions about the public transportation industry.
So misconception about the public transit industry. Um, I mean, I think that I really don't know what misconceptions there is in the industry.
Okay.
I think right now the biggest struggle that is going on in the industry is because the supply chain, ever since COVID, has hit, rocked everyone's world.
Yeah.
When it comes to like repairing vehicles, or when it comes to getting parts to fix it,
Mm.
it's some factories shut down.
Mm.
It's not that it's not, you can't get parts quick enough. Most of the times when I'm ordering parts, I'll overnight them.
Mm.
And there's a bigger cost to that.
Yeah.
The cost for everything has gone up because there's not enough. The supply chain shrinked rather than getting smaller. That actually, one of the biggest manufacturers in the U.S. that does electric vehicles, they claimed bankruptcy about 3 months ago.
Mm.
So I think that ever since COVID, the transit industry, the spirits are high. The spirits are high. People are trying to get now past how numbers were before, but just the supply chain is not as big. It's not as big as it was, and there's a lot of companies that middle companies, smaller companies kind of went out of business.
Mm.
Because of COVID, that would supply a lot of the parts, and I think that's where agencies they're now trying to put more attention to small companies, because 80% of businesses are small companies in the U.S.
Mm.
Without small companies, without small business, there's no business.
Right.
So I think there's a big push. How can we support small business? The the administration now, the U.S. administration put a big you know, $1 trillion infrastructure bill to, and some of that goes to help support their small businesses. There's a big push for that. So I think that's one of the good things that's going on to try to get the supply chain a little bit how it was before COVID.
Gotcha. So those supply chain problems, we don't. I mean, out in the public, we don't see how things work out in behind the scenes, right?
Yeah.
So a company might be trying to get a transmission for a bus,
Correct.
overnight it, and for someone who's just using public transportation, for them the bus is just late.
Correct.
Right. They don't get to see what someone has to do behind the scenes to make that bus show up on time.
Correct.
At the bus stop.
And that, not only that, like there's agencies that want to provide newer vehicles, but the demand is bigger than the supply. So like I know an agency that put in an order for 50 vehicles, but they won't see that probably 2.5 years from today.
Oh, wow.
Because, there's not enough chassis, there's not enough labor right now.
So the public's perception is, the city is not doing enough.
No.
The government is not doing enough. And they blame the city, they blame the government, blame the people, blame the bus drivers, blame everyone, but they really cannot do any of that because it's this whole almost like a food chain of events that needs to happen in terms of logistics and getting someone to manufacture the parts and out there into the factories to then manufacture the buses, manufacture whatever parts, right? And then get that bus on the road and show up on time at a bus stop.
Yeah, that's
not easy.
That's some of the struggles. That's some of the, and I think every industry has been, struggling with supply chain. It comes to hospitals, restaurants, hotels. Just almost every it's not the same. Even, some of these items here, like, you try to purchase them and they don't come as quick as they used to.
Right.
So, but like I say, the struggle is an opportunity for something else. Now what you see in the transportation industry, they went from bigger, really big vehicles to smaller vehicles. There's something called microtransit. Right?
Yeah.
So as we're, now heading into the future, you'll be seeing on the road, rather than a big old bus going around in circles, to more smaller vehicles, right? And transportation
like a van?
zones, like vans.
Okay.
Yes. Vans, the Sprinter vans, you see a lot more now.
Yeah.
I mean, even look at Amazon.
Yeah.
Now, they don't have those big vehicles. They got smaller vehicles that are electric.
Yeah.
So, that's more efficient.
Yeah.
We're being more, it forced us now to be more efficient.
Yeah.
And be more creative rather than do what was done all the time. How can we be more efficient?
Yeah. Talking about, being more efficient, and given your experience in the public transportation industry, what are some business hacks that you've learned which can be applied by entrepreneurs, maybe even in another industry? It doesn't need to be public transportation, but just in general, some business hacks you might have picked up that can be used by everyone out there who are viewers of this show.
Okay, so now you're gonna get the Kelly Gonzalez. Right?
There you go. I like it.
Jr.
I like it. Let's go.
Here's a business hack, and I'm okay saying it. You know why?
Yeah.
Because most of 99, if there's 100 people in this room, and you tell 100 people how to go and do something, so they could be more successful, or a company, but chances are only one person is gonna do that, right? Because there's a lot of information on YouTube. There's a lot of information in Google. It's there, but people don't use it.
How many people are doing it, right?
Yes. I'll give you a good business hack. So in my industry, which is transit, like many other industries, one of the hardest things to do is to do recruiting. It's to recruit, right? Now, I'll tell you this. All of my locations, nationwide, we're fully staffed. We're one of the few companies that is always fully staffed. Why is that? I'm going to break it down to you with this business hack. Number one, we have a great company culture. It's all about from the time you greet somebody at the door, from the time you pick up your phone, right? And somebody's looking for work, from the time they apply in the application. And then we get a notification, we We work with a company called Callisto Tech. I know you're very familiar with them, right? It's your company. But Callisto Tech that customized an app for us, a website for us, which is called kelhire.com,
Right.
where what it does is people can fill their application there. And rather than wait for 3 days or 4 days to come into the office and sit in front, as soon as they apply, automatically it sends a notification to one of our team members. Team member reaches out to them on the phone and through a text, and then right away they could fill out their application through the app online, load all the documentation, and right away it does all the prerequisite things with AI and sends them a notification, because all of our drivers have to take FTA drug test. Sends them a notification and an authorization to go to the nearest drug testing site, where they could go and do it right then if it's in the morning, and if they do it at night, the next morning. So right away we're getting the attention, right? And then we look at, then it scans the resume, right?
Yeah.
And it shows where they work, what they're working. So, and then it puts them like in a classification, like, hey, this is what this driver does, this is what they like to do, and things of that nature. I'll give you an example. In one of the cities, we looked at operators that worked in a shared ride driving, that probably worked from one of those shared ride companies that did shared ride for 3 to 4, let's say they did it for 3 to 4 years. We understood that if you're using your personal vehicle for 3 to 4 years, more than likely, you might not be happy that you put so many miles on it and you depreciated it.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
You depreciate it so much. So emotionally, you might not be that happy anymore that you're doing this job for 3 to 4 years. You've depreciated the value on your personal vehicle so much, but you love driving.
Yeah.
So guess what? If I looked at the numbers, about 60% of our drivers did share driving before, but now they want to, we provide the vehicle.
Right.
They don't have to devalue the vehicle.
Yeah.
We give them a good wage.
Yeah.
Give them great benefits that they didn't get when they were doing shared driving with their own vehicle.
Right.
So those type of business, that's a business hack, which is the type of drivers that more than likely would want to come work for a company that provides a vehicle.
Yeah.
That provides a good living wage, where they don't have to depreciate their vehicles. And it's all through that. It's all we're getting all that data in that app. We're getting all our data in that website. Yeah. And then this data integrates with, our stuff integrates with the some of these career sources type of websites. It integrates with these with Indeed and things of that nature. Yeah. So now we're getting all of the information right away, and we're making it the response time quicker. So these are the business hacks that we did. And with CalHire, even though I got ProKel Mobility, which is a transportation company, we were able to open up CalHire, which is a staffing company. Yeah. So guess what? I don't got to go hire a staffing company to help me staff. I already have a staffing company. And that staffing company is the engine that not only goes and has contracts as his own staffing company, but provides, because now they're experts for the ProKel Mobility. You know, and I looked at kind of like what what Virgin does, right? So, they have an airline, they have the cruise ship, they got the music with the entertainment. I do entertainment and sports with CalMerica to get the attention when it comes to celebrity influencing marketing. Think about this. If it's Kelly Gonzalez or it's AJ, that's gonna try to go, hey, this is AJ or Kelly Gonzalez. We'd love for you to work at ProKel Mobility on Instagram. What about if it's Tom Brady, Super Bowl champion from Tampa? Right. And we're trying to recruit in Tampa. So you see how I got all of these things together?
Yeah. Positioning. Yeah. Yeah. No, that's fantastic. Do you think, especially bringing in the rideshare drivers and giving them a vehicle of their own, that's a game changer in the industry?
Well, I think that it's always been like that in the industry. I think the game changer is recruiting some of those drivers to come work into the in with your company from them doing rideshare in their personal vehicles
Yeah.
to come work in your vehicles, right?
Yeah.
Because they, obviously they have a love for transport, but now they get to keep that love for transport
Yeah.
without sacrificing their cost for fuel, their cost for the vehicles.
Yeah. And I think the real game change, and correct me if I'm wrong here, is what you've done with Kelhire, the automations, right? Where it automates and integrates, right?
Correct.
So all the systems are integrated. So when someone fills in that application, immediately everyone gets notified, and then it triggers a email marketing campaign.
Correct.
It triggers the text message campaign.
Correct.
So they receive play-by-play action on their application, and then on because of those automations, nothing gets fallen through the cracks, right?
Correct.
Nothing, right? And then the people, the applicants, they feel like, my gosh, this company cares so much about me.
Correct.
They are all over me. I'm sure there are thousands of other applicants, but this particular company is all over me because they really want me, right? So what that does is, that basically brings those applicants back to your company more and more, because now they are coming after you rather than you going after them.
Correct.
Right? All you did was put an opportunity out there, a notice of an opportunity out there, but because of the touch points, the non-stop touch points that they have, which is typically unseen by other companies, or unseen by them from other companies. They want to work for you rather than I need a job.
It's all about engagement.
Right.
No matter what you do, you want to take your beautiful wife to a restaurant, right? It starts with the greeter.
Yeah.
If that greeter energy is off, or there's a low frequency energy, by the time they get to the table, there's a different story. So we use our artificial intelligence, right, to go ahead, and they're communicating their, they do text as they're filling out their application. But then when they go and talk, by the time they get a phone call and talk to one of our team members, or from the time they go into the office and they get a tour. See, when I first started, you would just do the application, talk to somebody, they do the drug test, the background checks, the physicals, and then you wait till you get in, till you're in the classroom, to then they tell you about the company, they put a video. No. You come into our office, you're gonna get a tour of everything of the office. You're gonna meet all of the managers. I want you to feel important, because you are.
Right.
I do nothing different than what colleges do when they're gonna go and get a football player that they want them to come to Alabama. I want you to come to Colorado. You know what they bring them? They fly them in business class, first class. They have a spread for them, show them all around. Think about if, as an employer, you do the same for everybody.
Yeah.
Everybody is MVP at ProKel Mobility. Everybody is MVP at Kel America. Everybody is MVP at Callisto Tech.
Yeah.
Everybody is MVP. Yeah. If they feel like that, and then you keep nourishing that, because a lot of times it's like a marriage. You got to do what you did to get them to keep them. You know what I mean? So the chances of people leaving our company, the retention of them leaving is less than 1%.
Yeah.
Once you're from ProKel, you ain't leaving. Because I put the pressure on employees.
Yeah.
Don't tell me only about how much money we making a year, or how much money we make in a quarter. I want to see, what's your retention rate.
Yeah.
And then guess what? When somebody resigns, we have something called a release interview.
Yeah.
And they have to send it up, and I read each one. I want to know why that person left.
Right.
Right? What was off? And sometimes it's a simple misunderstanding. And if I could reach back out to that person, myself or one of our team members, that means the world to them. You never know what it might be.
Yeah.
We're dealing with people, and that's what people forget. They get caught up in the business. They get caught up in the numbers, and they forget we're dealing with people. That same person that we're picking up, and or that same city where we're gonna be preaching, oh, we're the best provider. We do this, we do that. What you doing for the people?
Right. Right.
Do you know their name when you come in?
Yeah.
You know, before I go in, obviously we have an app that has everyone's name. It's like a you call it like a Facebook,
Yeah.
but we have our own internal app. It's not Facebook, but we have an app where we have everybody's name, who they are, a picture. They could upload their own picture if they want to.
Yeah.
We have a community. When I go visit a location, I'm looking at it.
Yeah.
I'm looking at who's there, and it has their the driving record. How many their attendance record. So when I come in, if I don't know them already, I already know. Yeah, I prep it like if it's something important for me. Like if you're gonna go do an interview to get a job,
Yeah.
You're gonna Google everybody that's gonna interview you. If you have the name of everybody that is gonna interview you,
Yeah.
you're gonna probably go on
But get to
Facebook
know them.
or
Yeah.
LinkedIn.
Yeah.
What they doing?
Yeah.
What they gardening?
Yeah.
What hobbies they have.
Yeah.
That's important with our staff too. So it's about the engagement. It's about the people. And if you could win the engagement of the people, the business is easy because it's numbers.
So, Kelly, we talked about, a lot of great topics today, right? We talked about mainly people and how people are doing a great job in your organization, and you as a manager, how you manage the people where they don't even need to be managed. Correct. Because they are so in love with the culture of the company.
Correct.
As a company, what's your involvement with the environment, right? Especially when it comes to sustainability, um, do you have any eco-friendly initiatives or even technology that is being used, mainly in the public transportation system to reduce the carbon emissions that are out there?
Well, that's a great question. So obviously you see the administration is putting a big push to try to reduce the carbon footprint in
Yeah.
the US. So, as a company that is it's growing, we try to position ourselves and work in cities that have that appetite, right?
Yeah.
So where we operate right now in one of the cities, which is North Miami Beach, um, it's always been diesel vehicles that have operated there. We actually introduced two vehicles that operate on propane.
Oh, wow.
Right? So not only am I reducing the cost
Yeah.
and fuel,
Yeah.
which is reducing the cost on the city for our services, but I'm also reducing obviously the carbon footprint. And agencies are now trying to push for more electric vehicles.
Yeah.
So you'll see more and more electric vehicles on the road. And I got all of my techs now, all of our mechanics to take the classes on how to be, electric vehicle experts.
Gotcha.
So I don't want to wait till we get the electric vehicles to then go. I'm starting obviously from the centerpiece. I'm not making the vehicles, but I have the folks that are gonna fix them. So we're getting everybody educated and certified to be able to repair those vehicles as the cities work to come and bring those more greener vehicles
Yeah.
to the forefront.
Very, very good. Since you're involved in the public transportation industry, and I, from my understanding, you work with the government a lot, right? And
Yes.
you work with so many
Hand-to-hand.
different agencies in the government. Do you and various agencies? Do you use technology to work with these different agencies? Is there any technology play in there, or the way we understand government, or people like me who doesn't really deal a whole lot with the government from a business standpoint? My idea is, or at least maybe my misconception is that government does not use a whole lot of technology to work with each other, the agencies. Am I completely wrong here? What's your take on that?
Well, The way it works is government has departments, and then these departments report back to the government the data, right? So
Yeah.
each agency has has the KPIs. Like they want you to be above a certain, let's say 90% on time performance, or how many passengers are you taking per vehicle. Now there's technology that accounts for that. Like in our vehicles, we have automatic passenger counters. So
Mm.
in the past, companies would just get a clicker and click in how many people are getting in the bus.
Yeah.
The government got smart and says,
Mm.
hold on, you're using clickers to get them in? How do you know if the guy's not clicking 3 times?
Yeah.
So now there's technology that they're using to, we have these sensors
Yeah.
that has somebody when they're coming in and when they're
That's a
coming out.
click.
And those are the clicks that
Yeah.
before you
That's a
had.
click now. Yeah.
And not only does it measure when they come in and come out, it's connected to the GPS that pinpoints exactly where they come in. So now the departments are using this data to see, hey, in this stop you only really had 2 people, in this stop you had 14, in this stop
Ah.
you had 20. So as we're doing the private side and the government side, we're working on the planning for the routes for the next year or
Yeah.
whatnot. We use this data through the new technology that we're using now. So there is technology that the government does use to make it more efficient and optimize the routes.
Right. Right. Very good. So finally, Kelly, looking ahead, what do you see as the future of public transit with technology enablement?
So I think the future of transportation is heading to something called micro transit,
Okay.
where we use the data to see what's the most efficient process for transportation, rather than have just a 800,000 or $1.2 million bus going down the road that might not be fully stacked.
Yeah.
Does it make sense to maybe buy um, 3 vehicles or 4 vehicles with that same, and just have them in a zone and people
Yeah.
clicking on demand?
Yeah.
Right? Or can we do a deviated fixed route? Right?
Mm.
There's technology now that a vehicle goes in a route, but if somebody um, wants them to get off of that route and pick them up, it could get off, pick them up, and still be on time.
Mm.
Right? Technology is a big, big game changer right now, where we're just looking at how are we always making this more efficient.
Right. Is there AI involved in that?
There's artificial intelligence
Yeah.
involved.
Okay.
It's coming in.
Mm.
It's just a matter of the technology is there to somebody accepting, hey, do I want to use this AI technology?
Right.
And fortunately, in the cities that I work and in the agencies that I work with, they're open to a lot of improvement and they're open to newer things. But remember, it goes to the place that where, as a business person, what cities do I want to work in?
Yeah.
I want to work in those cities that want to be more efficient. I
Right.
want to work in those cities that are looking to make things better rather than just doing it how it's always been. And I think that's the flexibility that I'm privileged to have, to be able to go and work in these great cities that we currently provide, that want new technology, that want AI, that want these amazing apps. While we don't forget the traditional ways, because grandma might not be able to get on the app. She might need to make a phone call for a
Right.
reservation.
There you go.
So, we got those call centers in place to help with that too.
Very good. Kelly, thank you so much for coming down today, all the way from Atlanta, although you are based in Miami,
Yes.
to the great city of Tampa,
Yes.
to
Yes.
have this little chat with us. So thank you for your time. Really appreciate you being here.
Thank you, AJ, for having me on your show. I got a lot of respect for you, a lot of admiration for you, seeing all the great things you've done, especially here in Tampa with your websites development, with your app development, as an advisor on all the boards that you work on. You definitely has helped a lot of people in their businesses grow, but you're also like a very great example, and you are the definition of the American dream, my brother. I'm very proud of what
Oh,
you're
thank you,
doing,
brother. I
and
appreciate
it's
it.
an honor to be on this show.
Thank you. Thank you. Appreciate it.